Okay, it's live.
Thank you so much, guys. You've been absolutely amazing. Thank you. You guys are the best. Thank you so much.
Charges, you guys run, I'll hold it back, I'll shoot at it, hold it back, try to scare it. But if this thing charges, I can defend myself, you guys. This was very late at night, everybody was asleep. And I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified.
What is this thing? Something from behind me pushed me all the way to the ground.
spiritual activity.
The following program is intended for a mature listening audience. Graphic and explicit language may be heard at times. The views expressed and opinions given by the individual hosts and their guests do not necessarily express those of this station or sponsors. Listeners are advised, but neither the station nor owners and agents will be held liable for the content of this program. Rebroadcast, redistributed, or reused without the express written permission without the host or producer is not allowed. You are listening to Family Spirit International.
Hey, Blaine, how's it going? Hey, Gwen.
Hello.
Hey, Chris.
How are you?
Doing great. We're going to have an amazing show tonight. I don't
Right
know if
on.
you saw the trailer as Gwen brought it in or not, but we have Cherie Taylor. She is an award-winning television and radio personality. She's a comedian and actress, and she's a journalist. And that there she is coming in the backstage now. Hey, Sherry, I'll be bringing you on in just a second. And we also have John Clark, who is the owner of the Lantern Media. And then we'll have Ghost Hunters International, Scott Tepperman coming on at 8 o'clock at the top of the hour. So I'm really excited to have everybody. And this is going to be a great show, guys. This is going to be awesome.
Right.
Can you hear us okay, Blaine?
It always is.
Okay, good.
Perfect.
It said nothing. I was like, oh, can you hear me, Christopher?
Yeah, I hear you.
Sweet. All right. So I think we should go ahead and bring in Miss Taylor. I don't know if you guys know. I had the at the beginning in the intro. I talked a bit about Cherie, what she does, and she has won so many awards. I think she's won 9 awards this year. And she presented. She's presenting this weekend also at let me just get her in because there's just so much that she has done and things that she has won. Let me just get her in. Way to
Hi.
go.
Hello,
Thank
everyone.
you, Gwen.
Hi,
Hey,
Sherry.
sweetheart.
Hi. So glad to be on here. Hi. Hello, everyone.
Yes.
Yeah, it's actually the awards I won were for 2023, but I'm
Okay.
presenting. So yeah, it
Presenting,
was
yeah.
a lot last year. It was a lot. So yeah, which is kind of funny. It was for the South Carolina Broadcasters Association.
There we
Right
go.
Yeah, and I was with a station out of Greenville called Magic 98.9. Then it turned into Magic 106.3. I was with them for 10 years, and then the station got sold off in March. And before John gets in here, John in 2020 had approached me about coming to the Lantern and writing for him, but by my contract, I couldn't do anything like that. So as soon as I was go, I called John up and I said, "So remember that conversation we had a while back? You still want me?" He goes, "I always want you." When you see John, you'll understand. That's and it's not in a creepy way. That's just John. So, So he brought me in with him, and I was already doing travel segments, so we thought it was the best way to merge the two because we have so many interesting areas around the Carolinas, Georgia, North Carolina. Georgia, Virginia, Tennessee, on down to Florida. Florida's its own little world. So there's so much with travel, and we have so much folklore here too, and so many mysteries and so many unexplained. So it was just the perfect marriage of things. So
Absolutely. I know that one of the things that I got a little bit of an echo. If somebody's got another one of our shows popped up, make sure you have it on mute. I saw that John Clark had asked you to come on board because he knew with your multimedia talent and all the awards that you've won, you would help him be able to tell the story. You know, we dare when others don't is the
exactly.
motto, and I love that. And that really resonates with Family Spirit International because we're constantly looking. Look at the kitty. Oh
Yeah,
my
just
goodness.
on cue. That kitty's
Sorry.
like, "Oh, well, I need to be across here. Here you go." Look at the advertising banner on the cat, so the cat can just walk across with it.
There we
That
go.
would be a great idea. Yeah.
Yeah, we could do the cats, Luna and Ginger, just
Yes.
billboard them up like they're little NASCAR drivers.
Yes, Luna's actually waiting on Daddy and Nina to come back. They went to the store real quick, Well, I was doing the show. Usually she photobombs. She has to come and say, "Hey."
Oh, yeah.
I locked. That's why I told Leah. I said I've got to. I'm still getting ready because I had a meeting that was an all day thing, so I had like 20 minutes to take a nap, and so I'm like I'm trying to get
Right.
myself together and lock the fur babies out of the room I'm going to be in. So I lured them away. I put food out for them, and I'm like, oh look, you don't need to be in here. Lock. So I'll hear about that later.
I'm sure. Mine will be scratching on the door, going, "What are you doing? Why don't you let me in?"
It'll just add to the atmosphere, I think, because with that scratching noise, just the
Oh,
animals.
we love animals, so they come on the show. It's more than fine.
Okay, good. Well, mine it wouldn't be because there would just be a cat in front of the.
That's
So
all
anyway,
right.
John should be in here.
He is, I think, trying.
Okay.
It
Okay,
looks
I see where
like.
he's in the. Yeah, he hasn't got his camera on yet. I do see
Okay.
he's in the green room, coming in. So he likes to cover the paranormal cases in the area, or ghost sightings, or anything strange, unusual, fascinating, that type of thing, sensational, even true crime.
Yes, he loves getting into that because there's so much here. I mean, well, we just had that big Murdoch case,
Oh,
years
I
ago,
know.
and that was huge. And because everybody knew somebody somehow connected to that, or knew somebody that knew somebody from that area, and so it
Absolutely.
was everybody was like, oh, the whole world was talking about it, and of course we all have those connections. So John is actually finding those connections because if you saw in his bio, he said that he grew up and his house was haunted and there were some things going on. And it seems like some of these things tend to find him. And I remember growing up too and hearing, and I grew up in Greenville, South Carolina, and the school system in South Carolina, when you had the South Carolina history classes, I remember them showing things like the gray man, stories about the gray man. And I'm not even, I haven't heard anything about this one recently, but the beautiful Phantom of Daisy Bank. And so I don't know if you guys, because I know Lee, you grew up in South Carolina too. Did they
Right,
teach you
right.
guys that in South Carolina history? So those are the things that's like, that stuff. I'm not even sure if they teach that in school nor because my kids go to school in Charlotte, but it's that stuff is history, and there's folklore, and there's real stuff around that people need to look into. And so it's just fascinating. When John told me what he was doing, I'm like, oh yeah, exactly. That's what is needed, because there's so
Yeah.
much. People will talk about it, and of course, everybody, like, it's kind of like the game of telephone. They'll add their own little piece to it. So what John's original idea was to get the real story behind it and find as much legend behind it.
Right on.
Let's see. It says he's not connected, so he's still in there, but he's trying to get connected now.
Can
He's
we say
having
bless his
trouble.
heart? Can we say bless his heart?
Bless his heart.
Bless it.
Yeah. So I was thinking about some of the other myths and legends and things that has happened in the Carolinas, like Lizard Man in Bishopville area, and there's numerous Sasquatch Bigfoot sightings.
There is so much. And yeah, I just texted him asking if he needed help getting connected. Bless him.
Yeah, he's struggling.
But yeah, there's so many sightings.
Right.
And like, as I mentioned to you, when I first had the first conversation with you, I have a cousin that is actually working through that. Amanda, it's amazing. There's so much here. And it's like, some people will talk about it, and then some people won't talk about it till they hear someone else. And then they have an extension of a story and an extension of a story. And so it's just fascinating.
So I know that there's some really cool places in North Carolina, since you're in the Charlotte area, that are haunted. There's the Omni Grove Park Inn. That is
I've
rumored
stayed there, and it is definitely haunted.
Really, the Pink Lady is known to roam that. And since the 1920s, she fell from the 5th floor of the Palm Court atrium.
Oh yeah,
gosh.
And there is in Charlotte, there's also a haunted fire station that we did a little brief thing on the lantern for, but I want to do a more in-depth go in. But now it's kind of a museum. But there's also their hotels, there's like boutique hotels in Uptown that people like. They love staying there, but it's just like they don't know if they come to town. They're like, oh, they like it because of the style of it and the feel of it. But I'm like, there's also so much legend there.
Oh,
And I will tell you this, in 2021, before they opened theaters back up where you could go inside, I'm also an actor. And so I did an off-Broadway production with this team from Broadway that toured the country. And they had little stations you would go to around Charlotte. And they had a little vignettes in the scenes, and it was a murder mystery based on The Office. So like the Office characters, they had the permission to do all this. It was so fun. But where I was stationed, because I was playing Meredith and Phyllis both. And so when I had to go in and change between those two characters, it was an old jail that's turned into an office building in Charlotte. And there were legends that it's haunted. And I will tell you, there was something in there with me while I was changing. My props were moved, and no one else was in there. My props were moved. And as we talked about, spirits are attracted to lights and the whole role play and the fantasy and stuff like that. So, I mean, there were a few times I'm like, I did not leave that there, and I knew nobody was in the building. I was like, okay, so that one, checking that off the book, it is definitely haunted.
Now, Sherry, have you done the courthouse in Charleston? I mean, not Charleston, but Charlotte?
Not yet, because
that's
John.
very haunted.
Oh, yeah, I can see why. I can see why. There's so much architecture here and so much stuff with legends here that it would take us, because John started out with the South Carolina side, and so now we're starting to bring in the North Carolina side, and there's so much. Right, yes, there's so much that So it's fascinating. Now, if you have suggestions, I will definitely get out there and cover that.
I can tell you the courthouse there is, I've investigated it twice, and there are 2 prisoners there that like talking to people, and there's 2 of them that like grabbing women there.
So you're suggesting I go out there to get a little goosing? Thank you.
Hey, they goose me. I'm all equal for it. So
it gets lonely being a spirit, I guess. So I'll definitely
they're happy to talk to you. And the ones there, definitely just walk by. You can pick up energy just walking past the place. There's so many people that have had their fate sealed in that courthouse. Oh yeah. Probably a few of them hung there in the courthouse at one time.
I would think so, because that would happen, yeah. Because they did have the yard. A lot of the older courthouses had the yard where that would take place. Not the day of, but pretty close, because back then they didn't do as we do. Yeah. So
they would actually they would actually have people set up with concessions like sandwiches and drinks where people could go watch the hangings there.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Bring your family on a picnic, watch them get hung. All right, let's go.
Well, there's stories of that happening during the French Revolution. I mean, the whole thing was like everybody was just going to see it, because it was like their daily soap opera. So I guess that would make sense that it happened, but still, because you do read some folklore and some legends, where people have like, oh, I saw my blah 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 blah, or my great grandmother saw someone that was hung, or this, that, and the other, and I'm like, it's a little. Well, there's John. Look at that.
All right.
Sorry to keep you waiting. Complicated business. No
problem. Hi, John. Thank you for joining us.
Understand.
Yes. So first things first, I want to apologize. So I had to switch computers. So I got some new equipment in, and it just didn't sync up. So I don't know what's going on, but my apologies.
Well, the Facebook chat's not working, so I'm having to use my phone to be able to track it. So, it's just going to be a night, and that's okay.
That night. There's something in the air.
Yeah. But people are really liking the, what we're saying and things. And for those of you that are watching, if you are in the chat, I will see you. I've got my phone in my lap so I can see what you're saying. But I know that there are people.
Go to my page and see if my Facebook is doing.
I'm going.
Thank you, Gwen.
Mine is all the way up as well.
Is it going for you? Do you see it?
Yes.
Okay, so it is live on Facebook. Chat last week was stupid, and it's stupid this week. Get it together, Zuckerberg.
He complains about everything that we do. We
I
pick up his
know.
feedback.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. So you won't see, guys, you won't see anything up about different comments, but I can respond. Since you guys are in Charlotte, I'm going to get back what we were just talking about. On my bucket list is the Duke Mansion in Charlotte. Have you guys ever seen it?
I
Oh,
have not.
yes.
Yeah, but go
So
ahead.
John Avery owned the Duke Mansion, and he started having an affair with this young writer while his wife was institutionalized. And he kept saying, "I'm coming for you, dead or alive." That was his little statement. "I'm coming for you, dead or alive." Well, soon everybody saw he wasn't going to leave his wife. And so the writer said, "Okay, well, it's over." And then Avery said, "Hey, I want to meet you," like a year later. "Hey, I want to meet you at midnight." So she went where he said to go and saw him approaching and reached out and grabbed her wrist. And then, but her hand went through him. And it turned out that he had died a week earlier. So she actually saw him in ghost form, I guess you'd say. And so that's why, dead or alive is associated with the Duke Mansion. I want to see the guy. I want to go there and see. There's 20 rooms and they're beautiful. So I want to see that. I want to go there.
Well, let's make the bucket list of things to do in Charlotte around this part of the area, and let's go see the haunts of the Queen City.
I definitely want that. I want to do that. Maybe all of us can get together and head that direction, and maybe we can get the writer, find out who the writer is, and see if we can get some of the writer's work and we can read it in the mansion. See if we can trigger Mr. Avery to make an appearance.
I think that can happen. Now, John is from an area outside of Charlotte. He actually lives in Greenville now. But and that area, John, why don't you talk about some of the area that you're from and the interesting things that go on in that town?
Yeah, so I'm actually from a rural part of South Carolina, Chester, South Carolina.
Yes, I know exactly where that is.
Yeah, so we had the old haunted 1914 jail. We had the Chester Little Theater. So one of the things that actually captured my imagination almost 28 years ago, because this is way before we had the internet, or the internet was in the infancy stages, right? Are you able to hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So back then, we used to have to print off our trusty MapQuest maps.
Oh, yes.
Remember?
Yes, I do.
At least it wasn't the big folded maps. It was a little more concise.
Right.
I stay lost.
So actually one week, a friend of mine came to me. He said, "Man, I want to go on some ghost hunts." I said, "Okay, so, kind of what are we going after here?" Because it kind of intrigued me, And he said, "Have you ever heard of the Happy Dog?"
Oh, the Happy Dog. I've heard of that. Dog.
I actually have images of the Happy Dog.
Oh my gosh, are you serious?
Yes. So, okay. So, Lee, I'm going to tell you how it happened. So, in December, I stopped in Union, South Carolina, after traveling all day, completely hungry. I stopped at a Zaxby's restaurant, and a lady was in, and she actually recognized me, right? She said, "I know you." I said, "Who, me?" And she said, "Yeah." She said, "You're some type of reporter or writer or something for the paranormal." I was like, "I am." So she and I struck up this conversation, and she looked at me, and we kind of had this stare. And she said, "I moved up here 3 months ago from Florida." I said, "Really?" She said, "Yes." She said, "I love your page. I love everything you do." She said, "I was about to send you a message." She said, "How ironic it is that you walked in the door here."
Oh,
I said,
my
"Sure."
gosh.
Yeah, I said, "Yeah." So, so she and I kind of went back and forth a little, and she told me, she said, "I have images." I said, "Images of who?" She said, "Have you ever heard of the Happy Dog?" I said, "Okay, first of all, 28 years, okay, going all the way back to 1996, 97, I have been after the Happy Dog. The Hound of Goshen is my most favorite." And it really depends on who you ask. I mean, some people says it's the oldest ghost story in the state of South Carolina, and others says it's not, right? But she said, "I'm going to send you the images." So how she obtained the images, she was actually looking for a home, some land to put a home, and she knew that she was somewhere near Maybitten Township. So when she said that, I've already coined a phrase for that area. I call it the Bermuda Triangle of South Carolina. And I'm going to tell you why. Because you had the Rose Hill Plantation. You had the Gist family cemetery there. Gist was a former governor of South Carolina. You have the Hound of Goshen. You have Ghost Creek Road that's over in Lawrence. You have the
Yes.
Happy Dog. Yeah. And you also have Crybaby Bridge in Newberry.
And that
Yeah.
is extremely haunted, and so is the one in Anderson.
Yes.
What name did you mention when I crashed?
When you crashed, he was talking about the Happy Dog and the Hound of Goshen.
Ain't that weird?
Yes.
Really?
You
Well-
all walked up like. I
Oh,
couldn't
yeah, and then
tell.
it locked you up. Yeah. It's like it knocked you off. That's weird.
Yes.
Ooh.
So she told me, she said, John, there was actually a cemetery, and as I was walking the property, I saw this cemetery. I had to take images, right? And she said, I didn't want to buy the property after seeing it. I just thought it was cool to have a cemetery here. Lo and behold, she actually got the images. And I told her, I said, if you actually have the images, you may actually have the Holy Grail, because I don't know anyone else who has ever captured the Hound of Goshen. And I actually have those images. You can actually
Well,
see him.
Okay, somebody just sent me something. Is this a picture of the Hound of Goshen, John? I see, it's like a Saint Bernard type creature in the back. You
Mhm.
see 4 legs. Is that similar to what you have? Because someone just sent that to me. Thank you, by the way.
No,
That
I
was weird.
yeah, no, I actually have the outline of him, and it's during the daytime, which is odd because you don't ever really capture him during the day. And so the premise is there's actually a couple variations to the story about how the Hound of Goshen ended up. And what a lot of people believes is that his owner was actually stoned to death along with the Hound of Goshen, and he is actually buried in that cemetery. That's
Yeah,
why
the Ebenezer Church Cemetery. That's where they said
Ebenezer.
this was taken. Yeah.
Yes.
Where's this at? Ebenezer Cemetery. I'm going to look it up because
It said Goshen, South Carolina.
Yeah, it's actually Union County, South Carolina,
Excuse me, Union County. Yeah.
but the road actually runs into Newberry. It goes through May Benton Township, and there's also a place called Zombie Land that's back there too.
Holy crap.
That a lot of people's not privy to. I actually owned almost 5 acres of land there, and I bought it for the historical, and I just recently sold it. And a lot of people don't realize this, but actually Bigfoot sightings, there's more Bigfoot sightings in the Bermuda Triangle that I coined than anywhere else in the state of South Carolina.
And we just talked about that, didn't we, before he came on, about how many
Absolutely.
there.
Somebody was late to class, or else he would have been able to add to that.
No, I wasn't late to class. I could hear everything.
I'm kidding you, John. I'm teasing.
Yeah, I know. And you almost heard a thud because I almost threw the computer, right? You know?
That's insane.
Yes. So the
John?
Hound of Goshen. Yes.
John, this is Blaine. Okay. John, can you
We're
hear me?
here.
Yeah, Blaine,
Yeah,
I
we
can
hear you,
Hello?
honey.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. You just too late. Okay. Behind your left shoulder and that door that's behind you, all right, there is a female spirit that keeps poking between the hinges. I can see her popping in and out. I've been watching her for like the last 10 minutes. She's not harmful. She's actually there, one of your spirit guides. I'm trying to get her name for you.
Yes, that would actually be very helpful, Blaine, because I actually have a sister that lives in Albemarle, and we actually have this aura around us. So I think a lot of that keeps us safe whenever we're in some.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
Her name, she's telling me her name is Lurleen.
Lurleen.
And she's from what year were you born, dear? Okay, 1818. And she died 10 years later. She's was only 10 when she died. But she is very protective of you. She's been around you since the day you were born. Actually, she was with you before you were born.
That's actually.
But she does not mean any harm. She's getting a kick out of being a kid. She's peeking around trying to photobomb.
Well, I'm sure she loves that. John has 2 kids hanging out with him all the time.
Oh.
His son. So.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah.
Someone just said to tell you that you should coin that the Bermuda Triangle of South Carolina.
I love it. I'm actually working on a book, and I actually may coin that in the book. I'm almost done with it.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool.
Well, remember, if you're using the boo, you got to pay me and Leah royalty because we came up with the idea. With the name.
Hey, Blaine, I just
Yes,
looked
sir.
up Lurleen and Lurleen, and I just put in Lurleen, and I put the year she died, and then South Carolina, and it popped up in the Rosemont, Rosemont Cemetery in Newberry, South Carolina.
Oh, that's so cool.
I've actually spent a lot of time in Newberry, a lot of different places. But yeah, so it's really ironic that you said that because my oldest son was actually born with the congenital heart defects. He's almost 13 now. And he's been literally, he's a walking miracle, right? Almost 13,
Yeah.
had 3 heart surgeries. So it makes me smile knowing that I actually have a spirit, but it doesn't surprise me, because of the energy that.
Well, John, I could tell you this. My daughter had transposition of the great vessels. Her arteries were crossed, and she was born. She has had 4 surgeries, and she is 36 now and got her own kid. She's doing well. And so I can feel you with that, dude. And special kids like that, they have some of the most badass spirit warriors that protect over them. Oh, they're fun to be around.
Yes.
Don't piss them off, but they're fun to be around if you don't know.
Right, Blaine. No, I 100% agree with you on that. Well, that's really interesting. I didn't know that, but welcome. I'm glad to have you here.
You were also mentioning some of the area around Newberry and some of the areas, so that just she decided to make herself known, I guess, if you could think of it like that.
Right. I'm sure she's, bless her heart, imagine being a little girl and seeing you and maybe just wanting to be a part of your life, having such a short life. Yeah. I think it's wonderful. Yeah. We did a big investigation in Newberry. Have you ever heard of the Gilded Bat, the bed and breakfast in Newberry? John, if you haven't, you got to go.
Yeah,
you got
to go.
Yes.
I took over Lee's phone the other day because she passed the phone to the caretaker of the Gilded Bat, and at like an hour and 15 minutes later, she's like, "Oh, I need to give her phone back." So, it was a great conversation because I'm so excited to come down there.
It's a beautiful place. It's the house was built in 1800, and it's been remodeled, and also the rooms are New Orleans style. Also the golden age of horror movies. There's the Bride of Dracula. There's the Medusa room. There's, just a bunch, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. It's just gorgeous in there. And it is haunted. And I teach, Blaine helps me teach. Gwen helps me. We have a class at Piedmont Technical College. And I'm really excited. We've been to the Gilded Bat several times and investigated, and we love going there. And we've been to several of the cemeteries in the area, and we've had some really fun experiences with the living history that's there.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually funny because I've never heard of that particular story, but Newberry has so much history, right? But just west of Newberry or northwest of Newberry, you have Abbeville, right?
Yes.
And and I actually we have written many articles on Newberry, and one of the things that get me strikes me is the birthplace of the Confederacy, but ironically, it's also the deathbed of Confederacy, right?
That is correct. Yep.
We have actually labeled that area as the second most haunted county in the state of South Carolina, right behind Charleston.
It is absolutely
Yeah.
right in there with Charleston. We had a huge Paracon there at the beginning of the year this year. We had 74 people in attendance. Blaine was there, and Gwen, a bunch of
Yes.
other people. Well, no, Blaine, you didn't make it to that one, did you, dear?
No, but
Yeah,
I was
but
on the phone with you guys quite a lot.
yes, you were. And it's very, very haunted. And there's some places that I could take you within that area.
Oh yeah.
There's a comedian that is there, a spirit comedian, and he came from the Newberry Opera House. And I walked into one of the rooms, and I had my equipment up, and I could see him sitting there, and the equipment saw him as well. And I said, "Well, it's nice to meet you. My name is Lee. Are you from the Newberry Opera House?" And he said, "Yes, I was dying to meet you." I thought, Lord have mercy.
That's exactly what my dad would say.
Oh yeah.
Dad jokes to the max. Yeah.
Spirits have some of the best humor stuff I've ever heard come out of people. I had a spirit one time. We were talking about when Dodge was coming out with the new Chargers, and I hear this young spirit, probably about 14, 15 years old, goes, "No shit, they're bringing back the Charger."
We've had a lot of fun things like that. I
Oh.
mean, the things that they come up with. Wait a minute, we got comments. Have we got the? Yeah, we do have a few. Thank you, Christopher, for helping. It did come up. Thank you, Christopher. He's been posting in it, so I guess it's finally working. All right, so we're getting there.
But yeah, there's so many things that I've heard spirits say that just have us cracking up.
Yeah, it's
And
more
some
fun.
of the stuff they've done has just made me just go, "Oh, that is hilarious." We had a spirit in a jail in Alabama, and I hope nobody gets offended easily. But this guy,
Oh Lord, you gonna tell that?
I gotta tell this story. It's so funny though.
Oh no!
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you have to. You have
You
to.
have to after that.
This
Oh
guy,
no,
this
Blaine!
spirit
You see my face, right?
I am not responsible. I can't tell it. It's a
Okay,
guy
I can.
thing.
Okay, her husband's filming outside. We're on the second floor of the jail, and her husband goes, "Dude, there's a spirit of your masturbating." I'm like, "No way!" So I go back. I had to go look. And sure enough, this spirit is just having a good old time. And me being the smart ass I am, I said, "I wonder if he's ambidextrous." And Matt goes, "Like on cue, he switched hands." I'm dying.
And we've got it on
Film.
film, and the equipment did not lie. It wasn't like we were looking.
But yeah, that was.
I was like ready to
I've
exit.
seen a lot of
So
stuff.
that's ghost porn, right?
That is
Ghost
ghost
porn.
porn.
It was the ghost of John Holmes. You didn't
That's
know
it.
that.
Goes to John Holmes. Yeah.
It might as well
Yeah.
be because, dude.
No.
Hey.
Listen, he's not lying. He's not. And look, I did investigate a house of ill repute in
Oh, doesn't
Memphis,
say all those.
Tennessee, and there was some activity there, to say the least. I'm not going to tell you the whole story, but
Speaking
Yeah.
of ghost porn,
yep.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's
Anytime you go
believable.
anywhere that was a brothel at one time, you will get propositioned by all the soiled doves there. Every one
It's
of them.
bad.
there's an
Bad.
old house in San Francisco that there was a hotel, and there's
I
like
know.
a madam that will walk around and knock on the doors and stuff like that. I can't remember the
Yep.
name of it right now, but yeah, I've always wanted to go investigate that one. I'm like,
Oh,
Yeah, there's one in Charleston, a lady of the night, and she's seen walking outside of the bed and breakfast, but it looks like she's walking on her knees because shortly after she passed away, that whole section of the outside entrance, going outside the stairs, burned down, and they built it up higher.
yeah.
And so she's walking on the old one.
yeah, she's walking on her original plane. Yep. But yeah,
Isn't that interesting?
I've had spirits tell me some of the funny stuff. We had been investigating this old insane asylum here in Alabama. We've been there for about 8 hours. Well, right next door to it, there's another building that used to be a convalescent home. Well, the state was going to rebuild it, make it real fancy apartments for elderly people. Well, we go to sit down for just a few minutes before we go in there, and we sit on this big pile of wood. And thank God I had my recorder going, because people would have never believed this guy said that. I heard him with my own ears. I hear this old man goes, It ain't gonna hold you, dumbass.
She wiped out.
It gets better. You hear the old man. You hear us sitting on the wood. It just goes everywhere. Then you hear the old man. I told you, dumbass.
I love that. I would cry if they said that, but yeah, I would still laugh afterwards.
I laughed so hard I almost had to go to the bathroom because I couldn't stop laughing. I was like, "That's awesome." But, yeah.
So there's more things that are funny, that are crazy, and interesting that has happened with the paranormal than jump scare spooky.
Absolutely.
There's a lot more things.
I gotta ask you two, what is like the coolest thing you ever saw or had happen on an investigation that you were doing?
Actually, I could tell you. So a few years ago, I was living in North Carolina, right outside of Greensboro, right? So it was a 3-story home. The downstairs was a complete basement. Then you had the second floor, which was on the ground floor. And then, of course, you had the third floor. So if you looked at the home, it only looked like 2 stories. So one night I came in from Fayetteville, and this is when The Walking Dead was, I think, in season.
Yeah, filming there?
No, not filming there. They actually filmed in Sonoya, Georgia. Is that's where they filmed. But I think this is like season 7 or 8. So we were getting down to the end. I know there's 11 seasons. And I came in, so around the fall of the year, I started painting the bedrooms upstairs because I planned on moving from the main floor upstairs during the winter time. So I got everything painted. So the first night I moved upstairs, I came in around 9-ish at night. Went upstairs, completely just tired from the road. Turned The Walking Dead on. I laid in the bed with my clothes on, and the light was on. Somewhere in the middle of the night, I saw a spirit walking down the hall at me. It was a female.
Gosh.
Yeah, it was a female spirit. Now, leading up to this, I've heard things upstairs. I heard doors close. I heard footsteps, right? But being raised in a home that had a spirit and being around the paranormal just about my entire life, it never really scared me, right? Because if a home is 60 years old, it still isn't in the settling process, right? You know, it's already settled, right? So as I was laying there that night, somewhere after in the wee hours of the morning, I saw this spirit walk down the hallway. I saw her hand go in front of the light switch like this. Went over the light switch a few times, stared at me. Now remember, I couldn't move because I'm in this boom. So
Bermuda.
I love it. Margie, I love it. Be watching for a future Lantern article to come out.
Yeah, he's going to do that, Margie. That's awesome.
And we're designing new shirts, so that's going to happen too. I'm sure.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
Yeah, it's definitely coming. But I saw her hand go over the light switch. I can't move, right? Right? Because, Blaine, you know kind of where I am.
Yeah, too well.
Yeah, she walked down the hallway like she was turning the light off, turned around, walked down the hallway, and vanished. Next morning I woke. The light was on. The sun is piercing through the blinds in my eyes. I still have my clothes on, and I'm like, okay. She was coming down to check on me, trying to turn the light off, and then I said, okay, maybe I need to move back downstairs, right? You know,
Yeah.
But I didn't feel a sense of being petrified. It wasn't that. It was a calming sensation that kind of went over my body, you know?
Yep. And she was actually a good spirit. That's another one of your spirit guides you have. For some reason, dude, the women love you because you've got like.
Honey, I know. I can tell.
They got like. Well, he's got.
I will never, ever be able to have a conversation with John again without him.
Boom, boom,
Remember, the ladies love me on all planes.
Well, you know what it is, John, is they're attracted to your energy. You have a good, positive energy, and they feel comfortable.
Are you sure it's his energy or his booty?
Hey, they might know. I don't know.
I don't know. You sit
John
down.
always says to me when he goes out to do a story, he'll send me a picture if I'm not out there. He'll send me a picture. He goes, "Look, I got a little eye candy working today."
Oh,
Well, Sherry, let me get to yours. Yours are mostly men. You've got like 3 men that are your main spirit
Yep.
guides. So it works.
I get that. I get that.
yeah, it's all good, and
But
in Sherry's world.
so I do want to point out that the Lantern is, if I'm not mistaken, and please stop me if I'm wrong, I believe we are the only news organization that actively writes our own content about the paranormal. Right?
Right on.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You are definitely, that I know of, the only news article, a news magazine, news outlet that writes paranormal news.
Because most of what
Um,
you see is just shared or little clips
Yeah.
or legends of, oh, I heard this or this, and then no one follows up. John goes for the in depth, and so yeah, that's
man.
sweet.
amazing. Yeah.
Now we
Yeah.
do have some paranormal magazines that will cover teams and what they found, or they will cover celebrities, para-celebrities, or different locations and the claims, but not like what you're doing. No, this is something unique and fascinating. I love it. Okay, question in somebody just texted me. Are you accepting articles of things that have happened, or that type of thing? Can they give you submissions?
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely, and that's something because of even if they give us stuff that, well, I heard this, or growing up I've heard this story, we can always do some more research behind it, because we love to have that foundation of,
Nice.
okay, this happened, but is this legend, or why did this happen? Because there was one recently in that, John, you covered. And then I did a little more in depth because it's closer to my neck of the woods over here in Davidson, which is right outside of Charlotte, kind of up near the Lake Norman area. And so it was just like, John had, so basically we have 2 or 3 layers and stuff. So yeah, absolutely send us stuff. And the more the merrier.
Now you went to USC, John, is that correct?
Yes. I
So
went to
he's a
the
Carolina
University-
Gamecock. Woo!
I
went
thought
to
you were
the-
asking if I went there.
I went to the University of South Carolina, right?
Speak it, John. Speak it, John. And yes.
Well, the humorous thing is I do
Clemson
have a
here,
degree.
Clemson.
I have a degree from Clemson University. I'm very proud to be a Tiger.
Roll Tide.
And
Go
I do a lot
Tigers!
of exactly. I do a lot of voice work because I do a lot
she's
of voice work with a
photobombing.
Gamecock site. So I'm sorry. Did you?
Oh, yeah.
You know, we eat birds and
Yeah.
chicken for breakfast, we Tigers.
Well,
Well,
you can't
everybody
see-
eats chicken because it's really good. It's
Yeah.
really
yeah.
So
It's in the Matrix. Everything tastes like chicken.
All y'all suck.
Gamecocks are tasty.
Hey, all I gotta say is roll Tide. Go
Yes,
Bama.
he's a Bama guy.
Oh, I could tell. I knew
Yeah.
that was coming. I knew
I'm
that
a
was
liberal
coming.
arts. I'm a liberal arts girl, and I just finished up
Yes.
with Christ the King college. I have my degree, my PhD in philosophy, and I'm getting my second. But before that, I was Lander Bearcat, and I got my degree there. I love it. I love that place, and I think this is a dream team right here. John, you've got people in South Carolina, North Carolina, Alabama. Georgia's just in between us. We can scoot over there if need be. Christopher Fisher you're not going to get any better anybody that can do research like Christopher.
I love that.
So you can deploy a paranormal team if you want to check something out.
Oh, that would be perfect because if we have the story and say, okay, well, we want to add some more depth to it, like when I was talking about the layers, that is perfect. No, that's amazing.
Just say we deployed our team, blah blah blah, because we're doing that for the Rhine Center now at Duke.
Yep.
So you could just call up like Charlie with the Charlie's Angels and deploy your team. Off we go.
Yeah, and you were mentioning Georgia. There's so many sites in Georgia. And when I first
Yes.
met you, we were talking on the phone, and I was like, a couple of years back, I was sent to cover the balloon races in Helen, Georgia. And then while they were saying, oh, by the way, do you want to tour this house? And there's so many legends with this house. And in that house, I felt everything coming past me. So
I don't know what that is. We're gonna call it a ghost and keep rolling.
Yes.
Maybe it's
There you
one of
go.
us cranking it up past 11. I don't know.
So
Not
I
that I
would
like music.
Yeah, so I would like to point out that one thing that kind of separates us from a lot of different people, we actually physically visit
Right on.
just about every location we go to, because it wasn't until last year that I actually had a lady approach me at a local grocery store, and she said, "John, I love your articles. It puts me there because I'm not physically able to go out and see what you're seeing."
Oh,
Right?
how lovely. Oh my gosh.
Right. And with my oldest son, he's 13, and when it's hot outside and the heat is on cremate, like it is here in South Carolina,
Yes, Lord. Yes.
it's on cremation. He's got even
That's the other Johnism. You want to coin that one, John?
No, John, I'm
Yes,
stealing that one because Alabama, it is like you're in a crematorium. So
Yes,
I'm stealing that one too.
I'm just having to mute myself. You messed me up.
So even going to the zoo is a huge ordeal for my son because of how hot it is.
Yeah.
So when I'm out, I have that in the back of my mind. And then I had a person reach out from me from Sharon, South Carolina. Her son actually turned her on to the lantern. I think his name is Blaze Mode. He's about 12 years old.
Very cool.
So I went up. It wasn't really anything that we did, but I covered his lemonade stand that he did.
Aww.
And I actually took a photo with him, and I'm like, okay, so you'll see some of the things that I kind of tweaked a little bit with the lantern. So if I do a small town article, sometimes I'll put tidbits for kids at the bottom.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so
Right on.
sweet. Now
But
listen, my mom just wrote a little book talking about kids. I'm going to just step right in because I got to, my mama's, she's it. She wrote a book called The Haunted Countryside, and it's a children's book between the ages of 6 and 10. And I have one called Tales in the Dark. So if you would, and Mom's book has coloring pages in it. It's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to cover those, I can send you the books over if you'd like to see it.
Yes, I would love to, because a friend of mine, you may be familiar with him. His name is Tally Johnson. He has written Tally. So Tally's a friend of mine. I actually plugged his book about 3 or 4 weeks ago, right? And I actually have it right here. It's The Ghost of the Upstate. And I think it had 150 emojis and 30 plus shares by me just promoting his book. And I'm like,
Oh, wow.
just off of Tally's book, right? Yeah. And so I have a lot of favorite authors. Herman Carmichael, you may be familiar with him.
Absolutely.
Things of that nature. So please pass the information along. Yeah, and I'll be happy to do it.
Hey, John.
Cool.
Good.
John, is the lantern on
Yes,
the
sir.
website where people can actually go find it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
The reason I asked that.
Yeah, absolutely.
The reason I asked that, I have a 16-year-old granddaughter that lives in California. All I got to do is tell her what your website is, and you'll have at least 70, 80 more followers right like that.
Perfect. Now we have it on social
yeah.
media, and I've just recently, once John brought me on board, that was my key to make sure we had not just the social media aspect of it, but also I'm a big believer in. Sorry if Zuckerberg's listening, because we had the little incidences in the gremlins earlier.
Yep.
Owning your list in your member list, because if content goes away or streaming service changes the algorithm, you don't lose your listeners, and your listeners don't lose that information. So we've built the website. We're adding the stories there as well as online.
Right
so
That's so nice.
Yeah.
That's a work in progress, because behind all my media stuff, I also have training in building websites and building content, and also create content for other people. I do a lot of freelance stuff. You'll hear my voice on stuff that I do for other people other than us.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And don't worry, you'll have a lot of new followers from Japan too, because we have a big contingent of Japanese listeners now.
That's not the first time I've heard I'm going to be big in Asia, because I did a film for a friend of mine. Well, I act, but it was a film that was kind of a superhero movie, but it wasn't. It's like more of a comic book superhero movie. It's called the Cross series, and
Nice.
so I now have like fans from Europe and Asia because those movies, they were okay here, but they were huge in Asia and huge.
That's awesome.
So it's kind of funny because I'm like, when people joke and say I'm big in Asia, I am.
Yes, you are. That's awesome. Hey, Blaine, the
Yes,
Japanese podcast is actually coming over to All Access. They'll be produced by us, even though they're in Japan.
Right on.
Yeah.
Great two ladies, and I love them to death. Irene and Amanda are the two that run Paranormal Japan, and they're awesome. They have several different groups in Japan that they've let up to introduce them to us, and that it's the word of mouth has just spread so much. It's like, okay, now we've probably got 3/4 of people in Japan listen to our show every Wednesday night or the day following, since we're on so many platforms. I'm like, this is pretty cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
actually, a lot of stuff going.
Yeah, actually, Blaine, I'm gonna tell you. I'm actually gonna tell all of you something. I think it's hilarious. So last year, I actually read the Susan Smith letter that was sent to her by her boyfriend. So her boyfriend sent her a letter before she did the horrendous, murders. So, okay, so first time ever being on YouTube with this accent, right? I'm thinking I'm just going to get. So I actually read 5 pages of the letter, right? Mm-hmm. Last time I checked, I had like 50 thumbs up, and I'm sitting there like I'm so bad, like I don't want to read the negative stuff, right? If you like it, just give me a thumbs up. If not, just give me a thumbs down. Don't give me no additional details. Right?
This is not my speech class. Thank you very much. I'm just reading.
Really.
Right. Yeah. I'm just reading. But no, I just want to let people know, if you want to find us social media, you can find us at The Lantern on Facebook, and of course, lanternmg.com on our website if you want to.
And it's building, but it's there. So you'll start seeing everything double population. So
the Lantern Media Group, the lanternmg.com. Yes.
Exactly. I'm
going to put that in there right now.
Yes.
The Lantern.
Yeah, I was having a hard time finding it today, so thank you for that. Yes.
Yeah, we were struggling.
The Lantern itself is actually an Ohio sports
yes.
So we did the MG to make people instead of like writing out all of Media Group, we wanted to make it very concise and just say MG for Media Group, and that clicks for some reason.
Works very well.
So John, we have a ghost hunt that's going to happen in November, first weekend of November. I'll give you that date in just a second because I don't have it committed to memory. But we are going to Georgia. We are going to it's going to be the 2nd of November. And we are going to the lovely Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Oh, you're going back. Okay.
St. Patrick's. Yeah, you're going back with us, remember?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fitzpatrick. Yeah.
Fitzpatrick Hotel, and the original hotel burned. And when they started building the second one, they moved it back right on top of a cemetery. And so they just pulled the tombstone. Some people, they say that they moved, but I don't know if they did or didn't, because that was a really long time ago. And it's also known for being very haunted. And we've had some crazy experiences there. The Savannah Paranormal team under Patrick Welsh, she had a Paracon there, and I was invited and I attended, and Gwen went with me and my mom, and it was crazy. We stayed in room 307, and that's where the mistress was supposedly chunked out the window. And we did have someone there, and it was not the story that the legend told. I'm not going to say what it was. If you're interested, you'll need to come.
Yes.
You'll have to come and ask them questions. I don't want to this is what happened, because who wants that? But it's a fascinating place. There were 2 children, unfortunately, that passed there. And I just thought maybe you would want to cover it, because we're going to be there.
Fascinating one. Yeah.
And it's a beautiful place also.
Yes.
Yeah. Lynn sent me some pictures because she was just down there recently, right? Am I allowed to say
yes.
that?
Yes. Yeah, we took off there. My husband and I, he was gone on AT training. And so we were trying to, I said, I think you need to see this place. Oh, there goes my cat. I don't know if you can see her.
Oh,
There she
yeah.
goes. These animal photo bombers. But he was just blown away. He said he could just, it was like he could see a man in a duster and a hat walk through the lobby or something, you know. And there's a plantation there that's haunted as well. There's a nice padded area like brick or whatever near that plantation where the stagecoach would stop. And a child was killed in an accident there, and he's seen all over the plantation. So we're trying to get access to that, and we do have access to the Fitzpatrick. I keep trying to say it's St. Patrick instead of the Fitzpatrick.
I believe.
Well, if it's close to Savannah, you're going to think
Yeah.
St. Patrick's. Come on.
Yeah.
I believe we actually. I'm not. I don't think I was the one that wrote it. I believe Izzy was, but I believe we covered the Fitzpatrick in the past on an article. I'm gonna tell you another place too, much like the Fitzpatrick, but one place that I've been to, but I really would like to investigate is the old 1927 Lake Lore Lodge.
Oh yes,
yes,
I've heard of that. I have not been there. I would love to go.
And also too, a famous movie was also filmed there. Cherie, would you like to tell them what
the Lake Lore Lodge? That would be Dirty Dancing.
Yes, ma'am.
Nobody puts baby in the corner.
Nobody. No.
But somebody did.
For other parts of the sets that they built for the movie, that's now been developed over. But yeah, that's a fascinating. There is a lot of legend up there as well. So,
but somebody did try to put baby in the corner. Supposedly, either shot her or pushed her down a set of steps. But I would love to do. I would like to go and explore it a little more. You know, fascinating place, and plus you have the history behind it and all of that. Right before 1929, the great, the stock market crash and all of that really set the area bust.
Right.
So.
Here's the class that we teach some of the students. So if you have anything that you can't get to or you want the equipment, remember these folks are probably willing to go.
Perfect. We'll start sending out correspondence everywhere. So no, that's
you got it.
That.
Yeah.
Well, we're coming to a close on the first hour. The next hour, I know it flew, we will be having Scott Tepperman from Ghost Hunters International. He'll be coming on. He should be joining us shortly. Those of you that are connected on Facebook with me, gosh, the hearts are just going crazy. I don't think you guys can see it, but they're just flying.
Wow.
So a lot of people are really enjoying the show. And so do you guys have anything you would like to talk about? Anything you would like to cover? Anything on your bucket list? Anything that you would like some audience participation or?
I mean, I love the fact that we handle the stuff around the Southeast and this region, but there's so much to go for. And when we were talking, there's a place in Jamaica. If you look it up, Rose Hall Plantation.
Yes.
That I've been there. I've actually been there when I was 3 or 4 months pregnant, and at the time I had my camera with me. I wasn't doing video, but I was taking pictures, and I see different things on those pictures. That it's like when I went back, you're snapping, you're not realizing at that point. But there's so much legend there, and the story of how she killed off her husband. So I want to go back and cover that. So that's on my bucket list of going back to cover that, because knowing the legend just as they give you when you're there, then you do the research afterwards and you're like, oh, this is more in depth than that.
Yes.
So out of the country ones are not out of the question. So I think there's and I was talking with friends today about how in Europe, the architecture's been there and all this other stuff. It's like you could just walk in any place and have a great story. So I think there's more that. So if people have suggestions of different places that they'd like us to see us cover or get a more in-depth story, we are all for that. So
Sherry, have you been to Castle Braun?
No, I have not. No, but.
That sounds fantastic.
You know what? I will put that on my list. I will put that on my to-go list.
He said castle, just that part. He said castle,
okay.
Castle, anything.
Well,
yes,
round shoe castle. Yeah, I want to go.
Now, I was going to say, if my new job, not that I'm going away from this, but everybody has different jobs and
Everybody's got a
hustles.
side hustle.
So,
Yep.
so if that comes true, Lee, and you know the perks that come with it, we're going to the castle.
I
Yeah.
love that idea.
Girl trip.
Rock the
Sorry, John.
castle. Rock
Yes.
the castle.
Yes.
So I do want. So back in April, I was on the Outer Banks. You want to talk about folklore? Just
Yes.
running
Yes.
right.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go back and spend a week in the Outer Banks. And you
Yeah.
brought up, Lee, you brought up Crybaby Bridge over in Anderson, right?
Insane. Once the sun goes down, it's a different place.
Yes, I have images, right? And and I actually been on the bridge before, but one of the things that strike me, and I laugh all the time, they actually sent that bridge. Lee, let me know. Blaine, let me know. I believe they actually sent that bridge to Charleston and have it
Yes.
worked on.
They
Yes.
did. Yes. You're correct.
And there were 3 guys that died on the bridge in Charleston.
Yeah, Charleston wrapped it up and sent it back. Now, you know Charleston doesn't want to touch it.
Yeah.
You know,
Now, if Charleston
you know,
didn't want to touch it, you
Yeah.
know there's some mess on there that they don't
Charleston's
want,
like,
right?
we've had enough of
Yeah.
this. We don't need
it's
it
like New
anymore.
Orleans, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can have it back. Now, I will tell you this. I was on the bridge, and, people have been spray painting and doing stupid stuff.
Mhm.
And I was just walking across it, and the sun had gone down. It was a full moon, of course, so I would pick a full moon, right?
Mhm.
And I want you to know, I started feeling cold, and I felt a breeze, and then a spirit ran through me.
Oof.
Mhm.
It ran straight through me up the front, and then I felt like it went down the back, not down the back like Scooby-Doo something or other, but I mean, I felt it, like a chill of ice. It was like a ball of wind that went over and then just was gone. And the lady that was on the other side of the bridge at the end, she was sitting in a chair beside Mom. And something had her and was pulling her out of the chair. And my mom stood up and she stomped her foot, and whatever it was let go, and it was gone. It left. My mom is about 5'2", maybe, little Filipino woman, and when she got up and stomped her foot, it said, "Yes, ma'am," and it left. But, but we did hear a voice of a man yelling a woman's name, and I couldn't make it out. But when he yelled, I saw a baby.
Oh no.
Yeah. So he must have been. It sounded like he was falling, but it couldn't have been it wasn't that far of a fall. But I heard him saying a child's, like a girl's name.
Yeah, I believe it was that gentleman, because if I'm not mistaken, that bridge came out of Virginia when it was built.
Right.
A gentleman actually died in Virginia, I believe.
Sorry, I'm waving at Scott. He's in the green room. I'm like, oh, the man died. Oh, yay! No.
Hallelujah, right?
No, that's not what I did. I just love me some Scott. There he is. Hey, Scott.
Hi.
So, guys, this is Scott Tepperman from GHI. He's a horror actor and producer. So this is Sherry Taylor, and this is John Clark, and they are John owns the Lantern Media Group, and he actually covers news about the paranormal. He's not just doing stories or whatever. He's actually covering news when people have must have lost him. He was trying to get connected. He'll be back.
I think he was readjusting his camera angle.
He was.
Another victim like I was,
There you go.
Honey, nothing's working tonight. Okay,
It's the gremlins. It's the gremlins.
Gremlins.
No, it's not
card pull.
gremlins. John, I'll tell you this. We have more technical issues on our
There
show.
he is.
Welcome back.
And if you go back and listen to the show after we do it, you'll hear voices that weren't ours. You'll see stuff that we don't see right away. Our show is always
EVPs. Oh, Lord.
God, yeah. Well, our show is super haunted. It really
I
is.
got a hair in my mouth.
I love it.
Everybody just wants to say something. Everybody just wants to be
do.
heard. So that's what
Honey,
it is.
my house
It's
is so
great.
haunted. It's
Oh, good.
unbelievable.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, it's so. I'm just gonna say it. It's haunted. I've tried to do something about it, and they just come right back. And they're usually ones I've met when I've investigated, and they're welcome to stay here. It's not like they, eat anything or run the power bill up. So
No, they come here too, Lee. They bring themselves right to me. Yeah.
All right. So for Cherie, 1 card pull, and I got 2. So you get 2 cards, Miss.
Nice.
And then for Mr. John, here's yours. And I'm going to end it with you guys, and then we'll crank up with Mr. Scott. Okay, Cherie, it says that this card says that you're getting the card, the great teacher. And that is Jesus there, but you have to look a little further into the card. What it says is that you learn from spiritual experience.
Yeah.
And I think that is, you and I've talked a good bit over the
Absolutely.
last several, and I see this. You said that you're on a journey and that
Absolutely.
you're building and things like that. That is the perfect card for you.
Perfect. Thank you.
And this one is you too. This is just confirmation. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. This is the warrior card, and we've talked about being a female, fierce ladies. Be fearless and stand strong. And I know you've had some things really interesting coming your way.
Yes.
And be fearless, baby girl. Be fearless and stand strong. You got this.
You do.
Perfect. Well, thank
My
you.
my
I want to do the
award-winning
champion.
friend. Yes. All right, and for you, John. Okay,
He's your cheerleader.
he is.
Yes, he is.
I see why she loves you, John. You're a mess.
He's my eye candy cheerleader.
Yeah. This one came out, and it's saying this one says to retreat and recharge. That does not mean just quit. It's not saying anything like that. It's saying you are thinking, you are meditating, you are working on something that's going to be fantastic. Put yourself in that creative space because you're analytical creative. You've got to balance it out. So for you to be able to be as creative as you want to be, you're going to have to analyze and put yourself in that frame of mind, and it's going to be exactly what you want it to be. I mean, it's right there. It's going to be fantastic. Blaine, you get the next one, okay? I know we're just running short since we were doing the two-part show.
I told him what I needed to tell him. I told him about his
you
spirit
did.
guide. I told him about her spirit guides. That's my whole thing was supposed to tell them tonight. So.
Yes, I know. And then it turns out when I looked the lady up, she was out of Newberry. What were the chances?
Yeah, Blaine, next time I'm going to ask you what their names are. So if you can get that, I don't want to run it over.
I can
we are working on some great stuff.
Okay, the three you have, I can tell you real quick. One name is Robert James. The second one is named Henry Rogers. And the third one, come on, tell me your name again, buddy.
I'm not looking them up. I'm not doing it.
Okay, this guy's being a smartass. He said,
he's related to me then.
Is it my dad? I'm just wondering because my dad, that would be my dad.
Okay, this is what he told me. Say, well, just tell her I'm Glenn Miller. Like the big
Oh,
band leader.
Lord.
I'm like,
Oh my gosh. I played clarinet growing up. And
Gosh!
okay, so you have Glenn Miller as one of your spirit guides. Hell.
Is it actually Glenn Miller or is it someone that just likes
it's,
clarinet?
it's actually Glenn dancing.
No, I love Glenn dancing.
Mother.
I love that guy. He's sexy. I don't care who you are.
But yeah, that's your name. He is Glenn Miller, the big band.
Well, tell him I'm sorry that my clarinet's still clarinet's still up in the closet.
He can hear you. He picked you for your energy, not your music.
Oh, girl. Yeah.
I have a lot of energy.
He picked you because you're pretty, girl. That's tell the truth.
You're so sweet. I love you.
Yeah, love you too. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and close out with you two. Please come back anytime.
Yes,
and you know I'm up to all the shenanigans. If you ever want to include me, I'll bring the party.
All of us.
Yes, all of us will. You get us all.
This was wonderful. Thank you guys for having us.
Right.
Yes,
Happy
thank
to
you
have
so much
you.
for having us.
Bye,
Thank you.
Sherry. Bye, John.
Bye-bye.
Hey, John.
So much fun. Scott, the man in the house.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I see your collection behind you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I am so jelly, guys.
Yeah, I got the horror and then the honeymooners and horror.
I love it.
Nice.
You know, the honeymooners are where it's at. That's the Flintstones. They're the Flintstones, right?
Yeah, that's what the Flintstones are based off of that.
Yeah, they had some writers from the early episodes of the Flintstones were actually honeymooners writers. And Jackie Gleason, a quick story, he actually wanted to issue a cease and desist order to that show because the plots followed very similarly. And if you could tell when they started, they weren't really kid related until they started adding that alien, and it was pretty straightforward. And people advised Jackie Gleason against doing that because he didn't want to be known as the man who killed Fred Flintstone. That's
Nice.
true.
Well,
So-
originally they had asked him to do the voice of Fred.
Right.
It was going to pay him a lot of money for that back time. And like you said, he would sue them for copyright. And
Yeah.
they're like, dude, come on. You can't.
Well,
do
he had the writers on there, so it was not even.
Yeah.
It was more than coincidence. It was.
Yeah.
Another thing I'm jelly about is you've gone every damn where.
I know it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Gwen
been a
and
lot
I
of
were
places.
watching you guys, some of your shows, and it was
Mhm.
like, God, I wonder what it was like going there. Wow, look at that! Wouldn't that have been cool? And we were all, just going on and on.
It's cool, but the thing that I never went. I never left the States until I joined the show, and I didn't care to. I just had no interest in doing it. But I would hate when it sounded really pretentious to me when you talk to people sometimes, not Ghost Hunter International related, but just in general. You speak to people and they're like, well, was I in France or Italy? Oh, they all seem to blend in right now. It's like, whatever, but it's really true. We were in the locations for such a short amount of time that they do kind of blend into each other. And sometimes I really have to think, I'm like, what? Because I would think, oh my God, if I was in England, that would stand out. If I was in Ireland, that would stand out. But a lot of the situations, I don't remember which country to which country they happened, because we really were, we would fly in, do our thing, fly out. And so the quality of the time that we had in these places, it really wasn't envious. I mean, we didn't do the touristy. I mean, if I go anywhere, I like to do the touristy stuff. I know it's cheap, but I'm a sucker for that stuff, We went to like the dilapidated, rundown, cool places. Now, for paranormal investigators, that's cool. But we didn't really experience France. We didn't really experience Italy. We really didn't experience the UK that much. Like, we got in, did our thing, and it could have been anywhere, and then we left. So the quality of time that we had in the countries wasn't, when we weren't filming, wasn't that much. We would usually maybe have 1, maybe 2 days to ourselves. And at that time, Barry would usually, we would try looking at some stuff together. Yeah, and Barry would kind of pull something together and say, hey, this is, try to find something that was really cool that would kind of symbolize almost where we were, that would really be, exclusive to that place. And usually it would be Barry, Paul, Joe, and myself, and we would just make a day trip out of it, and like, do volcano boarding or something, or zip lining or whatever. Once in a while, the girls would go with us, but usually it was just the 4 of us, and the girls would do their thing, which was fine. Yeah, we tried to do whatever we could with the small amount of time that we had.
Sure.
I'm glad you had some fun. How many hours a week do you think you filmed?
I'd like to say that for each investigation, we must have filmed 100 hours worth of footage between all the cameras running and everything. And we didn't envy the editors, because we would just send everything to West Hollywood. We'd get it in the mail, like priority mail, as soon as we wrapped them, pretty much. The tapes were still warm. There was the mini DV tapes and all that stuff at that time, and whatever we used. And it was just, we would get them to them really quickly. But we filmed a lot. We usually filmed between 2 and 3 days. Maybe 6 to 10, 12 hours at a location. It wasn't crazy, but it was enough to get in and see what we experienced.
You filmed 5 years?
So the show was on from 2008 to 2012. I got on at the end of 2009 and ran it into the ground.
Of course,
went down with the ship pretty much. Yeah. So I was on 2.5 seasons, just about 2.5 seasons. It should. It was a good one. Just oversaturation. Too many of them on TV. And
at that time, it's coming back. They're all coming back. Well, cool. So what do you feel is more difficult, filming in the horror genre with all of the different, all the special effects? I mean, you have to get it in such a number of shots, because you're wasting blood, and you got to wash the clothes or change or reset, clean.
I always thought I was always a horror guy, not a paranormal guy. Basically, when I moved to Florida, I realized that I found a local paranormal team by me, and I didn't even know that was a thing. And so I reached out to them. They got me on board, started having a good time, and just took it from there. And it kind of took off. But I put it in the back burner. Like, Ghost Hunters International was a casting call, literally online, and I had my own paranormal team for a very short time. And the person that I was on with, that I was running that group with, submitted both of us online because they had contests online, Ghost Hunters, the original one, quite a few times. Like, do you have what it takes? Jason and Grant want, you'd always see those ads. And
Yeah.
there was one where you could win a walk-on spot with them, where you could investigate with them. One time they had
Oh, I
where you
remember
could
that.
win a box of equipment and all this. And I went above and beyond trying to get all this stuff. I'm like, I'm going to do, and nothing. Didn't even hear back from them. And I'm sure millions of people applied. So by the time this GHI casting call came along, I was like, the hell with this. I'm not even going to waste my time, because why bother? So unbeknownst to me, the other co-founder of my team submitted myself along with him. And they liked me or whatever. They got me on board. That basically didn't look back after that. But I had always been in a horror, interested in the horror field. I obviously grew up in the VHS era.
Yeah,
And I used to, yeah, maybe a little. And I used to rent all these horror movies and slasher and all this stuff. And then when I went to my local video store, and they didn't care, they were the mom and pop stores where if you gave them that 99 cents to rent something, they didn't care how old you were or what you rented.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, here you go. So I rented everything that they had in those subgenres. And then when I ran out, because it was a store that I had frequented, I saw this, I think it was called Fantasy and Supernatural at that time or something. I started looking into those films and watching those, and I stumbled across something called the Amityville Horror.
Yeah.
And I didn't know at that time that was a real thing. And it's been debunked over the years, or there've been like witch hunts for this stuff, and people have been going out of the way to, poke holes in all this stuff. But my family at the time told me that was a real case, and that really happened, and it wasn't too far from us. It was in Long Island. I was in Queens, but some of my family was on Long Island, so it didn't take long to get there. But I'll never forget when I was first time I ever was visited the location, and didn't go in, but I was by the house. I didn't understand anything, but I was a younger age, and I remember driving it's a beautiful, affluent neighborhood. You turn down that street, the air stops. It feels like the air is thick and heavy. Something is unhealthy on that road. I don't know what it is. And it was a very weird experience. Never could explain that away. I had been back there, I think, one other time years later, had the same feeling. And I personally believe, and I won't get into it right now, but I believe that the people, I think there was a murders. That's not debunked. That's a real thing, happened in the house by a family member. The people moved in after that. In my opinion, they moved in to capitalize on that. They thought it was a bunch of BS and everything. This is my opinion. Thought it was a bunch of BS.
Scott,
moved in yeah, thank you. But then
I'll tell you why, because
they weren't even prepared, because they turned out, oh crap, something really is happening here. And I don't know what. After all these years of stories and the Amityville movies coming out left and right, the truth has been buried. But I believe something is going on.
I can tell you the truth, because I'm a real good friend with one of the Lutzes. It's not actually a Lutz, that was his stepdad. And he has told me off camera, he said, yeah, there was a lot of stuff that happened in the house, but he knew his dad was going to he bought this house, and he was going to try to flip it as soon as he could.
Sure.
But and he figured he could sell it more easier if there was something connected to a horror or something scary to the house, because they only stayed there 28 days. And before they even left, he told me, he says, hell, my stepdad had a big ass check for the house already.
Right.
Before we even left. And he tried to sell a bunch of this stuff, which he did sell some of it. And now his stepson's finally coming out and saying, look, dude, he did this all for money. He was just a jackass. He never cared about my mother, never cared about us. It was all because he wanted that 15 minutes of fame, and he was just trying to
right. But that still doesn't mean that nothing did happen there. Like the film.
I totally agree.
The film embellished a lot to me. And even in being in real estate in the past and whatever, or having my wife in real estate, I know there's certain things. The house was a piece of crap. That's why they got it cheap. That's why they got whatever. The blood coming out of the walls, it was most likely rusty pipes that were dripping through, is not shielded properly. All this stuff could be explained. I do think something happened there. And anytime I do any kind of paranormal investigation, I'm always telling people, I think there's something. I can't ever concretely come out and say this, but I believe either something happened or something didn't. I can't say definitively what it is because nobody knows what it is. And so that's what I think happened with that house as well.
Yeah, I could tell you this much. When John Zaffis was there, the part about him running out of the house, that actually happened. He said, Blaine, he said, the thing that I saw was, it was showing visions of my family being just shredded to pieces. And he said, I had to get home to make sure they were safe. He said, I swear to God, I saw that. And that's what made me run. I said, John, you never ran from anything like that before. And he goes, Blaine, you would have ran from that. You don't run from nothing. I was like, yeah, if it was going to my family, I'd probably be at that door. Like,
but that's interesting, though, because that happens, years ago, away from any camera. There was no eyes on you. This is just an experience that's happened. Yeah. And so it's really interesting when stuff like that happens. The same thing with kids. Anytime a kid tells you something, I'm much more inclined to believe that, because when you grow up, you put up these subconscious barriers, right? Where it's not socially acceptable to say certain things. Like if someone says, hey, do I look good in this dress? You can say, yeah, you look great in that dress. And then you talk trash about them after they leave, just because that's what people do. If a kid comes up and tells you, gee, you're ugly, mister, you know what? You're probably ugly. That's just what it is. So it's true, right? So, with the good investigators, the first team I ever joined, it was a bunch of females that were older than me, and it was just me. And the first time I started investigating with them, they would start doing like yoga and meditation. I'm like, this is like a hippie cult. Like, what the hell's going on here? But I realized that it stripped you back down and made you more receptive to what was out there. And to me, at least doing, I don't investigate that much now, but I can tell you that I'm a much more in tune to my surroundings now, and much more effective investigator now than I was, because I can go into, for some reason, I can investigate a 20-room mansion, and I can say, for some reason, the third room up on the top left in a corner, I felt something there. I want to go back there for some reason. I never was really able to do that before. Do I consider myself sensitive or what? No, I don't. But you can still be more in tune with your surroundings.
Sure, you can.
And I think, but doing that stuff and stripping you down opens a lot. So when you mentioned things like with Zaffis saying that he ran out or did this and that, there were no cameras on him. There was not whatever was going on. Now it's not your firsthand story, but so you have to take it with a little grain of salt. However, it's much more believable to me than, hey, we were getting ready to film something in front of the cameras, and wouldn't you know it, something happened. It'd be a little more So that holds a lot more water, stuff like that.
What John told me is that he was actually setting up recorders and cameras in the room where he saw this thing. He said he wasn't really investigating. He was just putting stuff here, see if the tape recorder works, if this camera worked, all the tech stuff he's supposed to do. And then all of a sudden he got this thing right in front of him. It just showed him his whole family being shredded. Yeah. And he said, Blaine, I'd never been so scared in my life. I said, I got in the car so fast. I'm surprised I didn't kill somebody or kill myself going home. But he got home and he walked in. And his wife was like, "What the hell are you doing here?" She was fine, but that was how they like. The spirits sometimes like messing with people. They do it to me all the time, but I'm like, bring it on, big boy. I got something for you.
I was a part of an exorcism, and my job as working as a psychic was not only to tell the priest what I was seeing or feeling, but I was also working on getting the name and letting them know when it was clear, because we couldn't really trust the client to tell us, because the client could be manipulated.
Sure.
And I was really looking closely, and I was really I didn't have a shield up or anything. I was just completely, like you described, stripped, because I was doing this for the situation, and somebody else was basically blocking for me. And the same thing happened. I saw, this is going to sound stupid, but if you had seen it the way I saw it, it would have terrified you as well. I saw a four-wheeler come around the house right to where the door was, and it had a little ramp on the back where you would like put a cooler or like your guns or whatever. You could strap it in the back, and there were 4 kids strapped across the back, and I recognized them as the priest's children.
Hmm.
And then I saw the same thing with another one come around, and it was my family, and I was just, I started getting overwhelmed. I was when we were driving there. I know I'm talking about this backwards, but buckle in. I do that a lot. Um, when I was actually going to the location, I looked out the window and I could feel something following me. And I swear to you, I saw wolves pacing with the car. And now these weren't in the flesh. I could see them, and I heard them. I heard them breathing, and they were pacing along with the car. And then when I walked into the house, it sounded like a wind chime,
Hmm.
but it was a sickening sound, like some screwed up elves or fairies or something. I mean, it made me nauseated.
Hmm.
And the client came around with her husband, and she said, "Oh, did you like my wolves when you were coming in? How do you like the sound of the demons? You thought they were wind chimes, didn't you?" And I was like, how did she know what I was thinking? She
Right.
knew all of this. Wow, that was, yeah, it made
Yeah.
me really pause, because I'd done exorcisms before, and I had one that was a poltergeist. It wasn't,
Hmm.
I've had stuff that was, bad wiring that was making people hallucinate. All of those.
Hmm.
There were
Hmm.
things that were happening, but
Hmm.
that one, it got me, and it was exactly like Blaine described, and just now.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
yeah, I get it. I don't
it's
talk
it's
about it
it's
much. It was something, man.
there's a lot of crazy stuff going on that we know nothing about, and that's why I hate
Yeah.
when people say experts or whatever. You could be doing this 100 years and you're not an expert.
Thank
Dude,
you.
It's
dude,
just not. There's no.
I have literally done this for 58 years, 59
Mhm.
years, and
You
I'll
are
say
telling your age. You better
I love
stop.
I love my age. Hey, I'm proud of my age. I
You
made it
better
this far,
stop.
and y'all ain't hurting me now, so I'm good. I'm 59, and I'm proud of it. But yeah, I'm doing it since I was a
Yeah,
child,
you're
dude.
making
And,
it look good, brother.
but I've never said I'm an expert. Somebody says, "Hey, you're a paranormal expert." I said, "No, I have a lot of knowledge in the field,
Right.
but
Sure.
expert, I learn stuff new every day
Hmm.
because the day I stop learning is the day I die. So
Right.
I will
That's
never
what
be an
Mama Jenny
expert
said.
Yeah. That's
ever.
that's true. That's true.
Even
And
when we
and
go dead and past and be on the other side, I still won't know everything.
there's no necessarily no, in my opinion, there's no real right way to do stuff, but
Yeah,
there is a wrong way to do stuff.
sure.
There is certain things that you do not do that.
Yeah,
But who am I to say that your process isn't going to work? Or, like I'll give you an example. The most much hated and maligned tool, the K2 meter.
no.
All right, my thing is they're very
I
easy to
used to love that
manipulate. They're
thing.
very sensitive, but I will tell you that when I used it, we were investigating a small local church in a small town not too far from where we are. We used it as a vessel, and what we did was we basically explained what it was. We introduced everybody that was there. We made sure we controlled the environment, and I knew exactly what was going on, who was there. We showed whatever was there what it was. We showed them how it worked. We put it down, and we said, okay, if there's someone here, you get close to it, it's gonna it's going to detect things, and it's going to go up to certain light. Can you get closer and do whatever? So whatever we were doing, making it a vessel to communicate with. So was it being worked necessarily? Was it working the way that was made for? Obviously, half these things are for electrician use anyway.
Yep. Thank you.
But it was providing some kind of a communicative device
Yeah.
for this thing to communicate with me. So it's fine. I mean, I had someone come up to me once, and they said one of those balls that you get at like Spencer, that thing that, and you put your hand on it and it goes to one place,
Yeah.
energy. They're like,
Yeah.
can we use that for an investigation? I'm like, if it works for what you're doing, yeah,
Hey, why
that's
not?
fine. Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's so many things that we don't know what they are, and it just takes one person to label it
Yeah.
the ghost globe and sell it, and then it has all this validation all of a sudden. But
Yeah.
that's stupid.
That
If it works
Tesla
for you,
ball,
yeah,
if
exactly.
anything touches it, it makes a little
Right.
arc to the
Yeah.
glass.
But there's cool stuff behind some of these theories. I'm like, yeah, try it
Yeah.
out. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of cool. I don't like using. I just like using just a basic camera, basic audio recorder. I don't like all the bells and whistles because people get so caught up and hung up on it that not first of all they don't even not only don't they know how to use it, but they get so focused on it that there could be stuff that's actually happening and they're depriving their own senses because they're
Thank you.
depending on this other stuff. So I've never been a big person on equipment.
I'm an old-fashioned girl.
Mhm.
I like using my compass, my
Mhm.
pendulum. I like dowsing
Mhm.
rods.
Mhm.
Candles are a big thing. I
Yes.
didn't realize how much I relied on the
Mhm.
flame to tell me what's going on and
Mhm.
where things are leaning, but
Mhm.
it's a big thing. I really like that, and I'm there when I do an investigation. If it's for a client, I'm there to get answers.
Mhm.
Otherwise, I'm there for my own personal experience. I'm not trying to get the perfect
Right.
EVP or
Right.
perfect whatever. I'm there for me. I'm there to
Mhm.
learn and enjoy.
Mhm.
So I don't really, and that's something I noticed about you when you investigated. Looking back at some of your stuff,
Mhm.
you didn't swell up because a camera was on you. You were really down
So
to earth.
one of the weird
I
things,
loved it. You
well,
were
one of the
really
weird
down to
things,
earth.
thank you. But one of the weird things is that a couple of things when I started the show, um I had a first of all my wife told me, and she was my girlfriend at the time, but she said you have to realize because I'm a nice guy. I think I really am a nice guy. But she told me, she said that you have to be careful because once you become known, you've got to question everyone's motives for wanting to be your friend.
Absolutely. Yes.
So, and my paranormal team, when we would investigate, we had a tiny little questionnaire like, does this happen? Does this happen? Does this happen? It was like 6 questions. I got on the show and I still was investigating. Then all of a sudden we got all these calls and everyone was saying, is Scott going to be there? Is Scott going to be there? So we really had to start screening these a lot better. And so we made it a giant questionnaire because it wasn't, I mean, I don't mind saying hello to people, but this wasn't about me and it wasn't a big, we're not on display. We're there to help people that have experienced things that they don't understand or that have shaken their own beliefs to their core. You have to have some decorum and some sensitivity and some tact.
Yeah.
So, but everyone told me, aside from what my wife was saying, everyone that knew me before the show said, Scott, it's weird because you were the exact same way on the show as you are in real life. And
Yes.
after the show, you're still the same. Like you didn't get big head,
Yeah.
you didn't get whatever. You just didn't. And it was cool to be on the TV, but I was an investigator like everybody else. I would watch these shows every week and I would be frustrated. Like, I could do that. What's wrong with me? Why am I not on a show?
Yeah.
So when I finally got on, I was happy to be able to showcase my ability.
Right on.
But I wasn't like, oh, hey, I've never been like that. Never. And to this
Never.
day, I'm even with all the films and all that, they never have egos on our sets. There's no room for that. There's no patience for that. Everyone we work with are down to earth and great people.
Thank you.
And
Yes.
we always tell people with our films, if you're working, it's always a team effort. Like at the end of the day, yes, it's my movie, but it doesn't happen without anybody. If the person that is supposed to take out our garbage isn't there, they're as important as everybody else. So, you know, if you somehow are on one of our films and you become this breakout star and you're a team player and you turn this breakout star, we are 100% behind you. If you show up and it's all about you and you're there to make yourself known and make a name for yourself, you can screw off and we probably will never work with you again because none of us
Thank you.
share that. We're just not that way. And it's
Well,
sad that the paranormal is like that as well.
Yeah,
A
it is.
lot. It's unfortunate.
Now, Scott, if you ever need somebody to come on your films and just die a brutal death, I'm your guy. That is one of my biggest things. I want to die like a brutal death in a horror movie. Because I
Nice.
think it'd just be so cool. Because I have no ego about it. It's like,
Nice.
okay, you're going to cut me in half an act. Let's do it. Come on.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun, and we have it down to a science now. But
Yeah.
everything is still its own animal. Each thing is its own project. Even if we're starting Cool Summer 4, and so it's part of this franchise that we've already established. Whether everyone wanted it or not, we made a franchise. But it's still its own animal. It's still a separate film, and you still have to approach it a different way. But we have the basics. I mean, we pretty much know how to do it, and it's so fun. I don't feel like that's work, and it's hard work, but I don't feel like it's work. It's just fun.
And Scott, the reason I ask you that because when I was active duty military, when we would do these stupid exercises, it'd be hot, and we figured out if you died early, you got to go sit in air conditioned, watch TV, and have food.
Right.
So we would
No,
volunteer.
it's
No,
you
we
get
would
into
volunteer
stuff.
to go die, dude. And I'd have like bandages around my head, just all blooded. I looked like I was Walking Dead myself.
Nice.
It's like,
No, well, I did this
sorry, you already
one.
killed yourself. I'm like, yep.
I, I did this one film. It was early on, and usually when you film things, you film them out of sync. You just do
Yeah.
for some reason. This lines
Yeah,
up
of
better,
course.
or people are around, and you. But we filmed this one movie, and this was my partner Jim O'Rear. Before I was partners with him, we still did several films together.
I love
One
that
of my
guy.
Yeah.
Love
Well,
Jim.
one of our earliest films we did was called it was Fat Chance, and then they renamed it the Camp Massacre. The killer had a chicken bucket hat on, like for his head, and he had a
Nice.
6-pack abs apron, and it was me. I was the killer. And Al
That is
Snow, the
funny.
wrestler, was there. I actually got to fight Al Snow, which he kicked
Right
my ass.
on.
He really did. But what was disturbing to me is that we filmed it in sequence. So we're all hanging out. And I was the killer. So we're all hanging out. And it was it was a hunting cabin. That's where we actually rented the place. It was a pretty sprawling location. So we're getting ready. Hang on, my mom's calling for some reason. I'll call you in a minute, Mom. I'm very close to my mom.
Hey, nothing wrong with
But
Us
I
too.
only talked to her like 3 times this week already. So we're filming this thing in sequence, and I'm the little. It's funny because I'm always the smallest guy in the set. I totally get my ass kicked by anybody, but I'm the killer. Pretty funny. But we're filming this in sequence. We're all hanging out on the couches inside, eating and everything else, and the whole cast is lined up. And we have this murder scene. The people die, and then they go home, and then I go back inside, and there's one less person. And it was awkward because I really was starting to feel like, wait a minute, what am I doing here? Like every time I went in there, we'd have our murder scene. I'd come in and the person was gone because they went right home because either their schedules were short or, they didn't have the time, whatever it was. But I felt like I was whittling everyone down personally. I was like, it was a little weird feeling from them. I'm like, what am I doing to these people? Because they kept going less and less and less. But it was fun. It was just kind of played with my mind a little bit. Kind of weird. And I'm not drinking. This looks like it's just water, liquid death stuff.
Oh, my girls. Wait, you can't see
Oh, I
it.
love it. I
My
love it.
Nice.
girls, my horror
Nice.
girls. These are my
Nice.
spirit animals. Yes.
Nice. Nice.
I have always wanted to be in a horror movie, but I don't know what I would do, or I just have I love I love the Winchesters, right? I love
Mhm.
Supernatural,
Mhm.
and I love Sammy. I love
Mhm.
Sammy, and he was on a horror movie. I can't remember, and I think he lived until the very last or something.
Texas
And
Chainsaw Massacre.
that's it. And I was just like, be still my heart, who is this guy, this big man, and then he was on Supernatural, and everything was a demon, and I quit watching it for a while. I was like, God, not everything's a demon. But then I
Right.
got back on it for the eye candy.
Right.
But I've always thought, God, that would be so much fun, and
Yeah.
I've always wanted to do the makeup. And when I was
Mhm.
filming Repossessed, one of the ladies that was doing our makeup for the shots,
Mhm.
the sizzlers and things that we were filming for, she did that, and she was
Cool.
showing me some of her stuff, and she had wired this pump that was squirting blood,
Mhm.
and I was like, how did you? I mean, first of all, you had to learn the makeup, but
Right.
how did you teach yourself about the electronics of this thing? And she found this toy at Dollar Tree, and she took it apart and made this thing, and it made it gush. It wasn't like squirt, but I'm talking about to make it look like it was an artery. I was like, girl, I am so
That's
impressed.
a lot of it is you go on YouTube and learn stuff. A lot of the artists that we deal with are self-taught. Some have gone to school, but same with filmmaking. Like I took, believe it or not, I did take some acting classes in college. I did take 1 or 2 film classes, but I didn't take filmmaking classes. I took like screenwriting and whatever. Everything you learn on the set, and it's tough because when you get someone that is in film school, a lot of time they're so stringent with what they learned and how they go about things. We're a very professional set every time. Every time it's a Los Bastards set, that's just how it is. People always want to work with us because we do. People say, hey, you guys are cool to work. We love being on your set and everything else. And this is like from people that we've had from this recent one we just did. We had John Dugan from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Beatrice Bubley, who played Freddy Krueger's mom. I mean, we've had cool people. Felissa Rose from Sleepaway Camp. And everyone said, we had a blast on your set. It's just really cool, efficient, productive, and professional. But we still have our own way of doing things, and we've learned over the years, trial and error. We're still learning. We're all the trial and error with stuff. Like we
Right.
all watched part 3 and we loved it. Like this is our best one, but we can even do this better the next time. Like we're excited about that, and we're excited with everybody with us because they're seeing it as well, and we're all growing. And it's the same thing with paranormal too, always growing, and being open to ideas and input and suggestions.
Now, Scott, I got to ask you, when you were actually doing the show, was there anything that happened while you guys were filming that like freaked your cameraman out or your sound guy out? And the reason I asked this, I'll tell a story what happened when I filmed.
Well, no, there were a few things. We were all paranormal team. Like, okay, ghost hunters. They were, I think it was Rips. Was their name of their place before they became Taps or whatever. I don't know. They got a show, and then they, I think they were approached as a team, and they said, "Hey, do you guys? We're going to get you on the show." Ghost Hunters International was handpicked. We were not a Ghost Hunters International team. We're not a Taps team. We were plucked. Like I was here, they were here. They wanted someone that was this person. They want someone that would be that. That they handpicked us. But we were all investigators. The crew that we had were literally hired hands. They had videographers, they had audio techs and mixers and all that. They were not paranormal guys. They were just literally. I mean, not to cheapen it, but
and
they were hired hands
out in the field with you.
So they went with us, and we early on, and it was the same team. Like we didn't switch. Pretty much, it was the same group of cast and crew throughout, except then they had the big switch over when Rob left and everyone up. But I was still there and whatnot. But most of the crew stayed intact. So when we first started, and we're hearing stuff, we're reacting to things. And I'll tell you, this is, I'm not under contract. I could say whatever, but we've never been asked to fake anything on Ghost Hunters International. And to my knowledge, we never have. We just never did. Now, we didn't catch what everyone else did all the time, but we were very legit. But
that was obvious to me.
When we would hear things or respond to things or check out things or interact with each other, we could tell that the crew, the audio and the camera guys were like, okay. But they'd roll their eyes. They'd be like, yeah, here we go. Over the years, they even told us, they said, okay, I saw that with my own eyes. I heard that. Like the audio guys, like, what the hell did I just hear? This wasn't manipulated. I heard this. And we're like, we told you. Once you get that experience, you can't tell anybody to the contrary. I mean, there was something going on, and they saw and they experienced along with us. We went into these locations that were fresh for us. We tell people always say they're envious because we go to investigate these cool locations. But again, we literally get in, we investigate 1, 2, maybe 3 days for 4 or 5 hours a night, and we're out. That's it. And that doesn't mean that a place wasn't investigated. That means or wasn't haunted. That means when we went in with 20 people and cameras, we either possibly documented something or did not. We never say it was haunted or is not haunted because when we were there, we didn't experience anything. But what the hell, if something's in there and you run in with 20 people from another country, chances are they're going to be like, I'm going to sit this one out. I'm going to let them leave. So that doesn't.
Or they're going to sit back and go, let's look at these guys. What are they doing
and
here?
But when people are in the States and you get to investigate, like I know quite a few paranormal investigators that have frequented the same location over the years. That's enabled them to not only establish a kind of relationship with the place, but you establish communication with the energy that is in this location, with the family that owns the place. You can tell if it's certain weather that may affect differently. You get the opportunity to go back and build on that and actually maybe solve mysteries or solve cases or provide answers. We were never afforded that luxury. So while we were able to go overseas, that quality I feel wasn't. Our quality was good, but the quality of establishing a long-term whatever, with the exception of getting emails and calls once in a while from people. There's some of them that still keep in contact with us over the years. But most places, I mean, we did our best, but when we were there for that short time, it's really tough to give a definitive answer.
It really is a snapshot.
It's barely a snapshot. I mean, it's really because you're dealing with your own. But you're dealing with the, even if you we went to Peru, we're busy trying to acclimate with half oxygen level and everything else and having to invest. It's a lot going on there.
So
it's
much to
very,
overcome. You guys were in Chernobyl.
We weren't, but someone was. I don't know. We weren't. We weren't.
You guys went into Chernobyl with the suit and everything.
No, I didn't. That was Rob
D did.
No. We all had those white suits on, those
Oh
hazmat
yeah,
suits.
yeah, yeah,
We
yeah.
were in. No, we were in. I believe that was. Oh shoot!
I was trying to find the episode before you
I
came
don't know
on
if it
so I
was
could bring it up.
I
Serbia.
can look it up.
No, it was Serbia or something. But what we did, we had been investigating a whole day, and we went into this big room that was like an airplane hangar. It was huge, and it was filled with dusty. I don't know what it was. Gas masks from World War II.
Oh
Oh,
wow.
And we're
okay,
walking
okay.
around. We were there all day. It was in a jungle, and then we got to this hangar. The second day when we're there, the production team comes up to us and says, "You guys should put these on." We're like, "Well, thanks." What about the first day?
Right.
But yeah, though that was. I'm trying to think. I don't know if it was Serbia or it was Belgium. It was Belgium.
Okay.
It
Okay.
was Belgium. That was a crazy time. But yeah, we've had a lot of experiences like that. We have a lot of experiences like that. But you're
When I
dealing with that, and it's very hard to investigate when you're just trying to acclimate yourself to the elements. We
Oh,
we went to I think we went to I think it was New Zealand. It may have been, but they literally told us, they would call you. We would get home and dump our clothes out of the suitcase into the washing machine, dry them, and throw them back into the suitcase. Like that's how we didn't have time to
Mhm.
fold them. We didn't have the luxury for that, and they would literally call you up on Monday and say, Wednesday you're going to fly out to New Zealand. Go get your shots. So
Yeah.
half time when I had to go get shots, I had to get a malaria shot and a yellow fever shot, whatever. And I remember the doctor saying it usually takes 2 weeks to take these pills to take them to get them to take full effect. You may not be fully provided. I don't have time. We have to go. So I remember one time, and I don't like needles anyway, but I had three. I look like a drug addict. I had 3 needles in one arm, 3 needles in the other.
Oh, dude.
And in one day. So you're dealing with all that, and then you get to another place, and you're trying to investigate, and you're still trying to acclimate yourself. It's rough. It's rough. And we weren't not exactly young and fit. If you saw the show,
Yeah.
It's like
Scott,
wobbling around. Yeah, it wasn't.
This is what I think is funny. Okay, well, so when I had you ask that question, when I filmed my episode of Mission Unexplained, we went up to Buffalo, New York, and I was in there was a sound guy, 2 camera guys, and the producer. And I just happened to say, I said, don't be surprised if something weird happens to your electronics, because it does around me. About 2 minutes later, I hear the sound guy goes, my sound just went off. And both camera guys was like, my cameras are dead. What'd you do? I said, I told you it was going to happen, but you didn't believe me. So it's like, I had to show you. And I didn't do nothing but tell them it was going to happen.
Right. Yeah.
And Scott, you got to talk about the shots you had to get to go overseas. Join the military, dude, when they give you 37 shots in one day. Both arms. Oh, yeah. It was a pain in the butt.
If I have to get one in like dude, 6 months, I'm dreading it. I'm leading up to it, dreading it. So
I hate needles. I'm like you, dude. That's why I said I could never be.
I don't care about needles.
Because I ain't sticking myself with a needle. I'll just do without the drug.
I think I'm weird because I really don't care about needles whatever.
Yeah, I'm not big on those.
I'm not worried about knives either.
I can stick anybody with a needle, but bring one at me and I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
She's a retired paramedic. And
yeah.
Okay, so there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not big on that.
When I was filming Repossessed, we were traveling a lot, and I was going from the United States to Canada, and it's right after COVID. So I had to do all the COVID restrictions and go here and show your card there, and to even get into a restaurant. That was no fun. But I know I can legitimately say I know what you're talking about, how you can't remember. You're here and you're there, and you only get to see a few things.
You really would wake up and you would realize, like, what day is it and what country we're in. Because when we went, I think it was when we went to New Zealand, you skip a day. And it's not like being in a plane for a day. You skip a day. It's it shows you on the map. It's Saturday and then it's Monday. And then when it's Monday, you come back and it's Tuesday and then it's Tuesday again. It's like, what the hell? Or it's Monday. It throws you off. It's weird. And then, just coupled with the fact that you could be in 2 or 3 countries in 2 or 3 weeks, it really does throw you off. There was one time we did we went from it was a snowstorm. It was a big blizzard in Scotland, and then we flew to where did we go? I think we flew to New Jersey for something, and then we flew into Puerto Rico. It was like a heat wave to a blizzard in one trip. Insane.
I feel you on that one, dude. We were when I was military, we flew from the country of Panama to Salt Lake City, Utah in
I
December.
can't imagine.
When we left Panama, it was a nice 85 degrees. We got to Hill Air Force Base. It was minus 30 degrees and full of snow. We thought we were only going to make a drop and run where we drop off the stuff and leave. No, we got stuck there 3 days. So we had nothing but short sleeves.
Right.
I had no jacket. I literally had to go to the base exchange and buy me a coat because I didn't have one with me.
Right. Yeah, we've had to do that. We've had to buy clothes, and sometimes we'd have to just leave them behind. So we just don't have room for them, or whatever. But we did that a lot. Just, this is not going to work. We got to get something.
I had a problem with snow. Girl from South Carolina in the dang snow, like I've never seen snow. Like I got out of the car and I was almost up to my waist, and so I actually at one point took pizza box out of the trash and put my shoe on it and and then cut it out to put in my shoes.
Nice.
So I mean, I don't
like
have
Alaskan
many
snow. That's awesome.
Yes, I had to make a barrier somehow. I wrapped it in a plastic bag and then put it back in so it would be waterproof.
Nice.
I don't have stories like you, but I can relate. And to hear you talk about it, you're pretty, right on track with the way I would say it, better than I would say it.
So. I don't know how. I don't think any of us had jet lag though. That's the one thing. And it's not that we got used to it. I just don't think we did. And I think the main reason that you don't is you don't usually disrupt your sleep pattern. If you're tired, you still go to bed at the time that you think it is. Whatever. I forgot what we did, but if you stick to that, you won't get jet lag.
Now, usually what you get jet lag from is your body is far enough away from the magnetic field of the Earth, so that's what gives you the jet lag.
Okay.
Lord, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and the reason I know how to fix all this stuff because I was a loadmaster in the Air Force. We flew everywhere, so we knew. Okay, it's like I'll go to sleep at 7. We're on the plane. I've got 5 hours till we land wherever we're going to land. I get my 4 or 5 hours of sleep, hit the ground, run it, be ready to go.
Right. Yeah, I don't get much sleep anyway. Normally, so because I'm a morning person and I'm a night person, it works out pretty well.
I'm gonna swing back over to your horror movies real quick.
Yeah,
I saw a picture of you with a gun and you were drawing down on somebody, and man, you looked like you were about to blow someone away. What was that
cool
poster? Yes.
Yeah.
What was that about?
Was that Nightblade? I don't know. It might have been Nightblade. That was we got that was Nightblade. We did a so again, we've done a lot of films beforehand, but that was our first one for Los Bastards, which is almost 10 years ago now. And I had wanted to work with Todd Bridges forever from Different Strokes.
Right.
Couldn't make it work. Finally got him on board for Nightblade. And he was the main detective in it, and he was awesome. And when he showed up on the set, he told us, he's like, oh, y'all having me work. He really thought he was going to show up and be like, what you talking about, Willis type thing, and do his little cameo. And we're like, no, you have a character, you have a role, you have whatever. He did a really good job, but that was he and I had a little showdown at the end, and that was a still from that. And that's on Tubi. If anyone wants to watch it, it's free on Tubi.
Right on.
All the ones are free on Tubi right now. Hell's Bells, which we did the stupid comedy, was funny as hell. Nightblade is on Tubi, and then the first 2 Cruel Summer movies are on Tubi right now. Third one will be, but it hasn't been released just yet. There's going to be an announcement probably very soon. But it's done and it's already screened. It's premiered, but it's just not released by the distributor quite yet. But I think it's going to happen in August, and then on physical media, because we want to push that first, and then several months after that should be streaming on Tubi as well. If all goes to plan.
Very cool.
Yeah, I do
don't
too.
worry, Scott. Since I get to work from home most of the time, I'll be watching every movie you did just because you're my new friend now.
Well, good.
Yes.
I should be everyone's friend. Delightful. No, I'm very.
Lee and I will get one and go back and rewatch all of them for you.
Yeah,
Cool.
we will.
I was never big into streaming at all, and I'm like, you hear the horror stories on how no one makes money anymore. This and I have to be honest. We got our first. It takes you a while to climb out of the hole. Sometimes you never do, but the distributors they have such a high overhead that they either manufacture or it's just high anyway for marketing costs and production costs and everything and art and promos and all. And first 2 Cruel Summers haven't been out that long, and I finally got something from them that said we are now making money for the film. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yay,
So we got our first statement and I looked and it has every breakdown, and I saw how much we made from Tubi, and I'm like, oh my God, really? So I'm telling everyone, like, watch it on Tubi, because it doesn't cost anybody anything, but it helps us out. So
Yeah, it
just
does.
jump. You don't even have to sign up
Okay, if
for
it
it.
helps you
Go to
out, we
Tubi.
are on it.
No, they're good. They're fun movies, but yeah, I mean, it's cool with Tubi. You don't have to sign up for it. You literally just type
I love Tubi.
Tubi.com, look
I
for the
went to
film,
your
play the movie.
I
Yeah.
went to your bio you sent me, and I made a big trailer, and now
Oh,
I'm
cool.
on it, and I'm copying and pasting it in there, so everybody go spam everything that has Scott's
Yep.
name on
Yes.
it.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
Well,
Make
thank
sure
you.
you show the love.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Scott, you get to hang out with us Crazy Three in September when we're doing the Deep South Paracomic
Oh,
Con.
Yes, I'm
yes.
gonna be there. I'm gonna be there
Yes.
one day. I can't not swing 2 days, but I'll be there all day on, I believe it's Saturday,
Yeah.
all day.
You'll
I'll be at
probably
everyone's
We will
disposal.
come see you.
What's that?
We will come see you.
Oh,
Don't
good.
worry,
Yeah,
you'll
absolutely.
probably end up sitting next to us anyway, because that's the
Okay, cool.
all these
You'll be like, God, is it time for him to go yet? Jeez.
Oh, they'll be like,
That'd be
Scott,
No,
you'll be
we
like,
bring the party. You'll be on the
Yeah.
party bus,
you'll be on the
Cool.
party
you
bus
know.
with us.
Good.
But you've got to bring pictures of your VHS collection. Got to.
Oh,
Some
so
of it.
jealous.
Yeah.
It's a lot. I was trying to count the other night because I added a bunch. I think for VHS, I'm maybe about 4,000. I'm not sure. It's a lot.
That's cool.
There's a lot. Yeah.
Well,
I've
you
been
know how
on a
long
kick.
that would take, like, if you ever want to convert them over where you can play them on any media,
Mhm.
that would take
Who would want to do that?
I know. Somebody would, though. You know,
Why?
like, these kids now is like, I gotta have digital. How do you work this thing? I'm making for the kids that VCRs because they don't know what the hell they're using.
Right.
So I just think it's funny. Hand them a VCR and a tape and says, "All right, watch this movie.
Right.
Watch them lose their mind. It's hilarious."
Right. Well, right now I have like 30. I think I have 32 VCRs, and people are like, what? But I don't fix things. So if they just break, I just chuck it and
Keep rolling.
So
Yeah,
you don't know the secret to get the tape out.
the tapes. I'll try to get tape out, but I mean, if something's wrong, I'm not going to be able to troubleshoot. I'll probably electrocute myself and burn the house down. So no, I'm not.
Don't do that.
I'm not lying either. Like, that's totally what it is.
Scott, you're a goof.
I can tell y'all from experience. On the bottom of the VCR, there's like 4 screws. Undo the screws, pop off the lid, pipe your tape. You're good. Put it back.
Yep.
So the pencil
Some people know how to do
is
that.
good. It's good for cassette tapes and VHS.
Yes.
You
Yes,
can roll
yes.
that rascal right back up. Okay. So here we go. 1 card pull. Is that okay?
Sure. I'm not even whatever. Like, I don't know. What do you need me to do?
Nothing.
Pick a number or
just sit
something?
there.
Oh, okay. I have no idea. Yeah, that's fine.
Just sit there.
Just sit there and look handsome, buddy. Just sit there and look handsome. Man.
Just grin. You want to do
Just
your
smile,
thing
yeah.
first, Gwen? Blaine, you want to go first with
Yeah.
him?
All right, Scott. This is okay. I'm an empath medium. I have been for 59 years. One of the things I see for you is your films are going to start getting bigger and bigger. Production wise, distribution wise. You're sitting. Just tell me you're sitting on a gold mine with what you've got there, because you are about to be recognized for some of the film work you've already done, and it's going to lead to more opportunities for more acting jobs. Plus, your production company you're running with now is just going to get bigger, and you're going to be a known quantity very soon. That's my spirit guides that tell me stuff are just awesome because they don't lie to me. They tell me everything they see. So I tell you everything they tell me. And I want to tell you this: you still have a very strong protective spirit guide that stands around you all the time. All the times you filmed, he was there with you. And y'all actually caught him on film a couple of times, but didn't realize it was him, like making noises in the background. Or he'd be the one come up to you and go, Scott.
He's a photo bomber.
Cool. All right.
Like, Scott, don't take this step. Hold for a second.
Okay.
You stop for a second. You go, oh, okay. You didn't even know why. That was him.
Okay.
And I'll give you his name. His name is Walter O'Reilly. That's his name. He picked you as a spirit guide. Okay. While Mr. O'Reilly died, and
hold on,
1798, and he chose you before you were even born.
Okay.
And he's been with you in 4 of the past lives too.
Okay.
Well. And you will have him the next life you have.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Okay.
That's what he told me.
Okay.
Now, Walter O'Reilly is also the name of Radar from MASH, not to be
Okay.
confused with him.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love Radar. He's so cool. Okay, so oh, Chris is
Sorry.
back. I'm glad you're back.
I
So,
feel well, fine.
oh, I'm sorry, honey. Elvira is my girl, right? And she has made a fortune on B movies. She has a following, like a cult following.
Mm-hmm.
And I really feel like people are looking for that. I feel like people are wanting that again. I feel like we've gotten into a cookie cutter, fast paced world, and I think that the art that you're looking at, that you're working in, and that you're looking at, is it's not going to be a lost art. I feel like it's going to be something that's going to. I've been doing old movies. All kinds of old movies, especially sci-fi and horror on Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime. I can't stop watching Amazon Prime old movies. I can't stop
Right.
it. But anyway, so the first card that I pulled, you have 2. It's the moon, and it's got a full moon and a new moon and all the stages in between. And when you're talking about a moon, it's meaning there's a time for everything. And what it also means is that you're intuitive. You can listen to your intuition. You've always been able to. I mean, anybody could actually say that. Watching your shows, watching your performances, and whatever thing you've done. So this is saying that is a gift of yours.
Okay.
And it's saying that you need to continue to follow it because you'll be getting messages. So take note of your intuition and your messages. The next one is your direction guardian, and very similar to your spirit guardian. Let me see if I can get it. Can you see it?
Yeah, look, yep.
Yeah, I'm kind of blind anyway, but yeah.
Okay, so this is it looks like a male, but of course it's an angel, so it's neither male or female. And it's got a lion on one side, it's got a lamb on the other, and it's got a power symbol in the center of it with a bird, like an eagle, I think, with his wings out and folded out like that and folded. And so what this is meaning is that your outreach will expand, and that you can go either the lion or the lamb. You can be either one of those personalities, and that your timing will be everything for each one of those. That you need to know, like sort of like a tree. Some trees have to bend in the wind, others have to remain strong like an oak. And so that's what's coming for you. I really feel like this is a path. This is actually an initial reading for what Blaine was saying. His readings are usually further out. This is your road to where he's saying I see that this is prosperity for sure.
Okay, cool.
And please tell Jim O'Rear that I said hello. I haven't talked to him in a couple years. He's been on my show off and on for this is my 11th season, so it's been a long time. And we'll get on the phone and we'll just talk, before we do the show, and we'll send each other memes and stuff. I hope he remembers me. It's been a minute, but
I'll let him know for sure. Yeah, he's been invaluable to me. I'm forever indebted to him. Amazing person, and to tell me that I'm the best partner he's ever had, and that he sees things in me and all that, it's huge.
He means it too.
It means a lot to me. Yeah, he's very straight shooter.
Yeah, he is. I have really enjoyed having you on. I'm sorry, Christopher. Go ahead.
Tubi's great, and thank you for sharing your work on there, because I'm one of the many people that really can't afford all these services.
Tubi's great. It is.
Yes, awesome.
Now, Scott,
the library is first rate. If you ever look at all that, it's amazingly good.
They have a ton of stuff on there.
Yep, I always go back and watch my old Dark Shadows off of the.
Don't even get me started. I've been on YouTube doing the remake from the 90s.
Yes.
And Gwen stayed over, and we were watching Dark Shadows, and and I never really like a blonde Dracula, but that one, he's all right. He's all right. Yeah, it's something, man. But nobody's gonna beat my guy. Wait, Jack Sparrow, help me. Johnny Depp. There he
Johnny
is.
Depp.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that's the guy right there. And
Do you know?
Amber Heard, you can kiss my foot.
Well, you know,
This is the Southern girl.
Lee, do you know in the movie that 3 of the original characters were at the door when Alice Cooper was playing in the house? Jonathan Frakes, who was Barnabas. I forget the lady that always had trouble with Barnabas. I can't remember her name, and the boy was at the door. So next
I'm
time you
gonna have
watch
to go
it,
back.
watch
Yes.
the door. We're
looking at it again.
Oh yeah, see, you've done it again. Now I've got to watch.
Yep.
Well, Scott, we're going to see you at Deep South
Absolutely.
Paracomic-Con. I'm looking
Absolutely.
forward to it. Those of you that are watching, we've got us a ghosty horror guy. It's all of that. Plus, he's a sweet person, not bad to look at. So you got a little bit of everything. And Blaine will be there. I'll be there. Christopher will be there on the show. We will be going live.
I
So
will
it's
be
gonna
there in
fun.
person.
Blaine's going to
Cool.
be doing a great job. Actually, Blaine and I wrote a book that I'm going to go back and tell the folks from the Lantern Media Group about the Psychic Kids book that we
Right on.
wrote. It's a book about for parents to be able to identify children's psychic abilities and
cool.
some things that they can do to improve some of their abilities. Our second book, it's got to come out because so many kids have come out talking about this, and parents need our help. So
Listen to those kids.
We
I
do.
Listen to the
know.
kids.
When you were saying that earlier, I was thinking, I need to tell him this. I need to tell him this. But there's a lot of children that have come to us at these Paracons that needed this, that needed the validation. And we actually have someone that all of us, Gwen, Blaine, and myself, and my husband, Christopher, in an indirect way, she actually was put on medication because she was psychic and nobody believed her.
Mm-hmm.
And
I believe it.
she's discovering it now that, hey, I actually
That's
have
interesting.
a talent. So yeah, bless her heart.
Yeah.
That's all right. Well, I'm going to do a quick Native American blessing, and then Gwen's going to close us. Anybody have any last things to say?
Thanks for having me on, guys, and best luck
Happy
with
to
your show.
have you.
And we'll see you in September, brother.
Absolutely.
Yes, we will.
Absolutely.
All right. So here's our Cherokee blessing. May the warm winds of heaven blow softly upon your house. May the Great Spirit bless all who enter there. May your moccasins make happy tracks in many snows, and may the rainbow always touch your shoulder. Thank you for watching Family Spirit International. I think I hit it. There we go.
We out.